Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's programming with Wanawari. My name is Elizabeth Johnson. I'm one of four co-founders of Wanawari. Wanawari is a Black Arts Center in Seattle Central District, where we rent a historically Black-owned home and give it back to the Black community as an arts and culture center. We use arts and culture to fight displacement, and if you're not already signed up on our email list, go to our website, wanawari.org, and you can find out about more events like this. And we consider ourselves a repository for Black thought and Black ideas. And so that is why we're super excited to have the program that we have tonight, which we'll be joined by Charles Johnson and Reggie Hudlin to talk about Space Traders from Cosmic Slop. Cosmic Slop aired in 1994. And I think Space Traders, written by Derek Bell, a science fiction story, is still relevant today. I was thinking about how when I was in high school and I was reading The Handmaid's Tale, and one of my colleagues in high school was like, that would never, ever happen. And I think we just got out of an administration where lots of things in The Handmaid's Tale could happen. And I think thinking about Space Traders and racial relations is very much plausible and what we should be thinking about today. So thank you all for being here. And we are going to start the film.
You are standing on the verge of getting it on. Beyond the Twilight Zone, further than the outer limits, deeper than deep in the black hole. Free your mind and your ass will follow. Because once you've passed the point of no return, you are caught in the cosmic slop. Would you like to dance with me? We're doing the cosmic slop. Oh, they call me the doctor. I'm the head man around here. I'll be your seeing eye guide through the black hole.
Beware of strangers bearing gifts. There may be strings attached. And what might be strange for some may be a noose for others. Let me show you what I mean. Check it.
Bernie, some of these people have been out here since 2 o'clock this morning, though the aliens aren't scheduled to arrive before noon. But as you can see, the crowd is getting pretty excited as America prepares for its first encounter with space since NASA went bankrupt back in 1998. It's quite a circus.
Thank you, Stryker. Of course, we will go back to Plymouth Rock the moment the aliens are sighted. In other news, the Environmental Protection Agency has added Hartford, Connecticut to its list of cities to be evacuated by year's end. Carcinogen levels there have topped those found in Baltimore last year. The gap between black salaries and white widened. Wait, something's now happening at Plymouth Rock. Stryker.
As you can hear, Bernie, there's definitely something going on now. We can't see anything yet, but this humming is definitely growing louder. You know, ever since the alien signal was first received some 3 months ago, speculation has run rampant as to their appearance, the size and shape of their craft. Oh my God! Clearly, yellow spacecraft have just materialized from nowhere right over our heads. This is absolutely amazing. This is literally an unbelievable sight. You know, as I look to my left, I see Vice President D'Amato and Secretary of State Buchanan approaching the microphone. For those of you who are concerned, President Taylor, of course, is safe and secure in an undisclosed bunker until it's determined whether or not the aliens pose any threat.
Hello? Hello? Is this on? Can you understand me? I'm the Vice President.
We are space traders bearing exquisite gifts that will restore your nation to its former glory. Nearly limitless quantities of gold and precious metals that will instantly erase your deficit. Machines that will renew your rivers and your air. cold fusion technology for a safe, cheap, and inexhaustible source of energy. All we ask in return is the delivery to our vessels. 5 days from now, every child, woman, and man in your nation with at least 2,500 milligrams of melanin in their skin per square centimeter.
What the hell is melanin?
Put more simply, in trade for solving all your most pressing domestic catastrophes, we are asking for every person in your country that you would classify as black.
Are you kidding?
No, we are not.
What are you going to do with it?
Well, that does not concern you. We give you 5 days to decide, and the offer is non-negotiable. We will not try to coerce you in any way, yet I hope we can do some business together.
We wait all this time for a fucking UFO and they come here with this? It's all bullshit, right?
Maybe. Maybe this day's gonna go down in history. An end to poverty, end to pollution, cheap, unlimited energy for every American. Sounds like a hell of a re-election platform.
Sam, I have to go on record as saying this is crazy. But
what?
well, welfare rolls would be cut 40%. Food stamps, Medicare, drug abuse programs slashed.
May I add something, Mr. President? You know, if I could guarantee the prosperity of this great country by giving life or taking off of those space traders, I'd do so without a moment's hesitation. You know, the Secretary's courage is not unlike that American men and women have exhibited when called to military service. Well, some go more willingly than others, but almost all go with the knowledge that they might never come back.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. Doesn't anybody see a downside to this?
You know, Casper's absolutely right. The guilt that many whites would feel for sending the blacks away could take a severe psychological toll, with medical costs possibly reaching astronomical levels.
This is madness. Our military services would be decimated, depleted of 30% of our manpower.
But with unlimited energy, think of the weapons you could create.
Mr. President, Sam, you were elected by the slimmest of margins. Your African-American vote was key.
I don't expect them to be thrilled, but how can I put this delicately? Their future electoral clout is going to be severely limited.
And Casper, let's be honest. Do you really think the aliens will treat them worse than we have?
No, the real issue here is spin control. The decision has to be the will of the people and not the administration policy.
How about a national referendum? Have MCI fire up a couple of those yes and no 900 numbers.
I'll be damned. We're on to something here. Professor Golightly, you look like you want to say something.
Gentlemen. Gentlemen. As you know, Mr. President, I have been a lifelong card-carrying Republican. I feel I was instrumental in your moderate wing wresting control of the party from religious extremists. I have often supported this administration's repeal of affirmative action legislation, not protested its decreasing handouts to the poor. And in helping you undermine these policies, I realized that your reasons for doing so differed from mine. And yet I was always a good soldier for the party. I sincerely believed, and still believe, that black people need to learn how to stand on their own 2 feet without the crutches of governmental legislation. But I'm afraid I must protest in the strongest terms possible what I've heard in this room today. What is being proposed cannot be passed off euphemistically as selective service. At its best, it is group banishment. At its worst, it is utter and complete extermination.
Oh, Professor, that's ridiculous.
Wait. Did I miss something? Who said anything about exterminate? Look, the space traders seem perfectly nice and civil. Their planet might be one great big Club Med for all we know.
Sam, we do not even know if these creatures can deliver on their end. You and I play poker together. What if they're as good at bluffing as you are?
Now you're whistling Dixie. I'd look like a damn idiot if the aliens took off and left me nothing but a big bag of tortilla chips. We'll ask them for a peek at the goodies. And if they're not BSing, we'll schedule a national referendum on the night before their deadline. Call up MCI, ask them to fire up 2 yes and no 900 numbers. Gentlemen, lady.
Yes, talk to me.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say I love your show,
Thank
Bertice.
you.
I watch it every day.
Mm-hmm.
But my comment is this. Black people have
realize
always
my
been
husband has
complaining
done
about
Donnie
how
several
bad they're
times,
treated
but he
here,
has
so I
nothing
would
to
think
say
they'd
on
just
the
be
matter
tickled
right now.
pink to get a free ride someplace else.
Oh, yes, the free ride is fine. It's the return ticket I'm worried about, okay?
Well, Dad, it looks like your chickens are finally coming home to roost.
Look, little Miss Militant. I mean, give Dad a break, all right? How was he supposed to know? Besides, I'm sure this will all blow over in a couple of days. Right, Dad?
Right.
We need a black psychic who says he's had his bags packed for 3 years. Stay with us.
Well, I have to tell you, this is absolutely the most amazing thing I've ever seen. The Statue of Liberty has actually been turned into gold. Now, officials from Fort Knox here confirm that it is solid and it is pure.
Officials estimate the value of the gold at over $15 trillion, enough not only to pay off the federal deficit, but also to give every remaining American, a tax-free year. This just in, alien craft have vacuumed the air over Denver and Los Angeles. Smog levels are reported at 0. And live from Chicago, our news team is sending these pictures from Lake Michigan.
Gail, if you aren't a sight for sore eyes, Linda sends her regards.
He's in the back.
Whoa! Good doggy. Yeah.
Hello, Professor.
Travis is one of Millie's pups. George gave him to me the night of the election.
You know, if this goes through, it's not going to be easy.
Drop it, boy.
Some folks might fight it. Make the LA riots look like a slumber party. President needs you signing aboard this thing. Professor, if you lobby on our side and the trade is approved, our president promises that he's going to see to it that 100 black families are smuggled to England. You can draw off the list. I gotta go.
What's your word? I bet he had a lot of words.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they mean. But he said that they'll smuggle us to England if I lobby on his side.
So what did you tell him?
Well, I'm not sure, Gail, that they even need my help, given the state of black leadership.
Please, please, unity. We cannot all speak at once. All right, legislation. What else? The boycott. Armed struggle. Armed struggle. Look, my friends, very little is being accomplished here today. Rabbi.
They tried this once before, but I pledge to you that hundreds of thousands of Jews will not allow another final solution in this country. Not now, not ever.
You just know once we gone, you all are next.
Latest tracking polls indicate support of the trade at 40%. The melanin content of 2,500 milligrams per square centimeter that the traders requested roughly corresponds to a light brown skin complexion. Dr. Eric Fannon of Johns Hopkins... Dr. Fanone will explain. Doctor.
The amount of melanin in one's skin varies according to how dark or tan we might be. 2,500 milligrams per square centimeter corresponds to the darkness of, what I'd say to be an ordinary paper bag.
Thank you, Doctor. In other news, government sources confirm that France, England, and Germany have offered their blacks as well. But the alien spokesperson is quoted as saying, maybe next time.
Hi, Mom.
What's this?
All I'm saying is try it. I mean, my God, it was at the last box in the store, and I just thought.
Yes, sir. And I'm taking all my scissors with me, too. Because there's no telling what kind of electricity them aliens are going to have on them ships. Because you know us black folks, we don't like arriving nowhere all nappy-headed.
So you really think they're going to send us away, huh?
And I told you the one about the American dream? No. That's what all the niggas swimming back to Africa with a Jew under each arm.
You're outrageous. But you know, Piggy, we could fight back. Like the Palestinians. With rocks and guns.
Nigga, please. Like I'm gonna get myself killed just to stay here. I just hope they got them little bottles of Remy Martin on the flight. Got to have my Remy Martin.
Oh, Remy Martin.
Wait, hold it. Where you going?
I'll be right back.
Rich folks are crazy.
Gleason, this is crazy. If the president didn't listen, why should they?
Because they're capitalists first and Caucasians second. What do you think I've been doing on these corporate boards all these years? This is what it's all been about.
But Gleason, these people...
Black people have been calling me an Oreo ever since I was 12. After tomorrow, they'll call me a hero.
And if it doesn't work, what about the family? What about you?
Could we live with ourselves if I help them send black people away?
No.
Call you tonight. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for coming. Pleasure. Now, I suppose to the rank and file American, this unholy offer by the aliens must seem like an answer to their wildest dreams. It seems to me, however, upon further reflection, that this trade could bring our nation nothing but disaster.
He's right.
But I don't want you to take my word for it. Because after all, I come from a very obvious self-interest. Leland, Why don't you tell the rest of the boys how this trade would affect your distilleries?
Blacks drink 33% of my hard liquor, 48% of my cognac alone. Who's going to take up that slack?
Why, it'll decimate athletic shoe sales.
Cool and Newport cigarettes.
Pork.
15% of our best consumers gone. Like that.
And we at the oil companies employ over 12 million people worldwide. Now, the alien, inexhaustible energy source will wipe us out overnight.
Furthermore, the blacks are all gone. How long do you think poor whites will stand being at the very bottom of the barrel? We'll have a revolution before the year's out.
We've got to tell those little green men to go back where they came from.
Excellent, gentlemen. Excellent. Now, I believe that this room represents a few $1 trillion in assets. I propose that we mount the largest ad campaign this nation has ever seen. We buy up every minute of radio and TV airtime, every print ad, every billboard, even every goddamn bus bench, and we flood them with the anti-trade message, SOS, save our soul.
We'll have whites on their knees begging blacks to stay.
Here, here.
By executive order, the president has banned African Americans from leaving the country before tomorrow's referendum.
Mommy,
This
would
is
you just pretend
WNN.
this isn't happening?
World News Now.
You know, Sis Ruth, my great-grandmother, she used to clean white folks' houses on the main line in Philadelphia.
In other news,
She told me,
Mexican...
you know, they may not like us, but they sure can't live without us. Don't worry, baby. They can't live without us.
Well, Mommy, Guatemalans clean their houses now.
Actor George Hamilton vowed today he too will go.
Cigarettes! Cognac! Cigarettes! Cognac! Did you know that the African Americans won over 500 of the 850 Olympic medals awarded to the United States?
Yes. Good thing.
Cigarettes! Cognac! Cigarettes!
Everybody, thank you. My name's Casey Kasem, and welcome to Alien Trade Referendum. Just say no! Oh, boy. Can you imagine life without jazz? No! Or without the blues? No! Or without rock and roll? No! Well, that's what life would have been like in these United States without the contributions of African Americans. If this referendum passes, and we vote to send dark-skinned people up into outer space, I tell you one thing, you can forget about ever seeing another dream team again.
You know, we didn't bring any scientists or anything. People, yourself, just entertainers. Yeah. Okay.
This is for people. This is
for people.
Eggheads.
So tomorrow, when you pick up your phone to vote in the privacy of your own home, just think.
Privacy of your own home.
My people, oh, my people, the sit-ins and the boycotts have worked. We are ahead in the polls.
Don't count your chickens before they come home to roost.
Oh, somebody bring me some milk, because here come a big Oreo.
Yes, yes.
Give him a chance.
We are ahead in the polls. But who knows how these people will vote in the privacy of their own homes.
Oh, sit down, Tom.
I am well aware of how I am perceived, but now is not the time for our petty squabbling. Now, this came to me this morning. In order to ensure victory, we must stop resisting the offer and urge the country to accept the trader's proposition. The major motivation for racism in this country is the deeply held belief that black people should not have anything that white people don't. Not only do whites insist on, better jobs, higher incomes, better neighborhoods, better schools. But they leap to gobble up our language, our dress, our music, and our dance. Therefore, I propose that from now until the polls open this evening, we circulate the rumor that the aliens have arranged for our transport to the wealthiest and most beautiful utopia in the known universe. White folks will go ape, wondering what we will encounter in this new land. They will gnash their teeth. They will even argue that to limit the space traders' offer to blacks is an unconstitutional discrimination against whites.
I cannot stand here any longer and be influenced by a man who has dedicated his entire life to sabotaging his own people. Now is not the time for trickery and tomfoolery. My people were brought here involuntarily, and involuntarily is the only way they're gonna take me out. Yes, Lord.
People without power must use cunning and guile. Yes,
Well, today is the day of reckoning for 20 million Americans of African descent. Voting will begin in just a few seconds from now. As you know, 2 telephone numbers will appear on your screen, one in favor and one against the space traders' offer. After dialing the number of your choice, simply key in your personal security code. Here, ladies and gentlemen, are the 2 numbers. Polls will remain open for the next 3 hours, but we should be able to project a decision very shortly. Wait. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, with just 6% of the vote tallied, we project that the referendum will pass by a comfortable margin. Oh, God. What? Collection centers will be set up tomorrow morning by the National Guard. The aliens say that they will allow only 1 piece of carry-on luggage per person. Oh, This is Bernard Shields. Goodbye.
guns for everybody. I don't know.
Jennifer, they stopped selling guns to us yesterday, and 2 days ago they quadrupled the border guards. You know that.
Well, you and he did pledge the same fraternity. He just can't.
Morning, Gail. Wife, you aren't a sight for sore eyes. Linda sends her regards.
England?
Promise is a promise.
Come on, Ginny. Get out of here.
Not you, Gail. Promise is a promise.
No! 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 Lenny! Lenny! No!
You knew it was hopeless as soon as the idea was out of the bag. Didn't you?
All right, people off the bus and on the beat. Come on, folks, let's move. Get your belongings. Get up. Move fast. Stand right. You heard him. You heard him. Your family, stay together. Let's go. Let's go. Off the bus and on the beat. Now, follow along. If you can't carry it, leave it behind. Push wild, no talking. Move,
as we say goodbye to our dark friends and neighbors, we say hello to a new era of American peace and prosperity. For World News Now, I'm Stryker O'Rourke.
Every bargain ain't a bargain. America kind of let the brothers and sisters down. Let me see if I can call them aliens back. I'm gonna tell them we're having a 1-cent sale. They can get the rest of y'all for a penny.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am going to spotlight our panelists. 1 second. Once I figure out how to do that. Maybe it's not. There we go. I'm Elishaba again. Thank you for being here. Reggie, if you want to turn on your video.
You've got to allow me.
Oops. I can do that. 1 second. Let me know if that works.
Hey.
Yay! Thank you for being here. So I'm going to read their bios. Reggie Hudlin and Charles Johnson. Oscar and Emmy-nominated producer and director Reginald Hudlin is one of the most influential filmmakers of his generation. Hudlin's next film is Safety, a sports drama for Disney Plus that's currently in post-production and debuts on Christmas Day 2020. I think it'll be a little bit later. That just happened. Hudlin is the first African-American to executive produce the Emmys, which aired in September 2020. And in February 2016, Hudlin produced the Oscars, for which he subsequently received an Emmy nomination. And additionally, he has been the executive producer of the NAACP Image Awards for the past 7 years. In 2012, he was nominated for Best Picture Academy Award with one of the producers, Quentin Tarantino's Academy Award, and Golden Globe winning film Django Unchained, which is one of the top grossing Westerns of all time. In his illustrious career, Hudlin has written, directed, and or produced numerous popular feature films, including House Party, Boomerang, Great White Hype, and Bebe's Kids. In television, he was the executive producer of The Boondocks and wrote and produced the Black Panther animated series based on the comic book series he wrote for 4 years. Hudlin is one of the few filmmakers to also run a major media company. He's one of the first presidents of entertainment for BET, the biggest Black media company in the world. He created BET's first full slate of original shows and an award-winning news division. Hudlin has been honored by the NAACP, the American Civil Liberties Union, the United Negro College Fund, the Sundance Film Festival, the American Film Institute, and many more venerable organizations. Dr. Charles Johnson, University of Washington professor emeritus and author of 25 books, is a novelist, professor, an essayist, literary scholar, and short story writer, cartoonist, and illustrator, and author of children's literature, and a screen and teleplay writer. A MacArthur Fellow, Johnson has received a 2002 American Academy of Arts and Letters Award for Literature, a 1990 National Book Award for his novel Middle Passage, and a 1985 Writers Guild Award for his PBS teleplay Booker, the 2016 W.E.B. Du Bois Award for the National Black Writers Conference, and I lost where I was at. The Charles Johnson Society of the American Literature Association was founded in 2003, and in February 2020, Lifeline Theater in Chicago debuted a play adaptation of Middle Passage. Dr. Johnson's most recent publications are The Way of the Writer, Reflections on Art and Craft of Storytelling, his fourth short story collection, Nighthawks, which was nominated for a 2019 Washington State Book Award, and Grand, A Grandparent's Wisdom for a Happy Life. We are so happy to have you both here. They're longtime collaborators, and Charles, my dad, was actually going to write an episode of Cosmic Slop. So I thought this would be a really great conversation for us to have today. So I'm going to volley it over to both of you to just have an informal chat. And if anybody has questions for either one of them about Space Traders or about their work in general, please put those in the Q&A section. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad to be here with your father, Charles, who's just one of the great, awesome minds, and not to mention a lovely person, and talks about you all the time for years. So it's finally great to connect with you as well.
Thank you. And Charles, Dad, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now? All right. Reggie, it's been too long. It is so good to see you. I just want to hear from you tonight. And I want to start with Space Traders. I remember when it premiered. You have to tell me the year. Remind me. And you did an interview, and I think you said the goal was to make the world safe for Black science fiction. Could you talk about that? Talk about the origin of the story with Derek Bell. Mm-hmm. I forgot that Trey Ellis wrote the script.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love Trey. He is a capital person. So tell us about what happened with Cosmic Slop and Space Traders.
Sure. Well, I had made 3 movies at that point in my career. I made House Party, which was my first movie, in 1990. It was based on my student film. I did like a 20-minute version as my senior thesis at Harvard. And so I expanded that into a feature-length script and got that made. Then I got a call from Eddie Murphy, who wanted to do a movie with me. So I made Boomerang with him. and that was a really big success. That same year, I had done the first African-American animated feature film, which was Bebe's Kids, based on the comedy of Robin Harris. So I've done a couple of cool, really, really cool things. And, but as much as I love comedy and I especially love animation, which I always wanted to dabble to, the thing I was really burning to do was to do science fiction. And, you know, just being a Black filmmaker at that time was kind of a big deal, was breaking through barriers. But the idea of doing Black science fiction, there really wasn't any precedent for it. I mean, you know, you could find just a few, you know, Sun Ra, Spaces to Place, Sidney Poitier doing Brother John, but it was not business as usual for Black folk. That meant nothing to me other than it was time to get it done and I was going to do it. So I don't know exactly why I was reading Professor Derek Bell's book, Faces at the Bottom of the Well. But in case you, and Derek Bell was a professor at Harvard Law School. And he became famous because he was really fighting to have a Black woman get tenure at the university. And they kept hemming and hawing, coming up with excuses. So finally he said, well, if you don't give her tenure, I'm going to resign. And all the students were like, no, Professor Bell, you can't resign. And there was a big protest movement. And one of the people who spoke at the protest movement was one of his students, whose name was Barack Obama. And there's videotape of Barack Obama speaking on behalf of Derek Bell and fighting for affirmative action. And later, when Barack was running for re-election in 2012, I guess, right? Hannity on Fox News pulled up that footage and said, well, you know, here's Barack Obama hanging out with this dangerous radical, Derek Bell, and, you know, to prove how crazy Derek Bell is, here's this movie made by Hollywood, you know, with these crazy ideas that he's talking about. And then they said, this movie was made by Reggie Hudlin. And then they looked up how much money I donated to Barack Obama. So they said, well, these three, they're kind of an axis of evil. You know, Barack Obama, Derek Bell, and Reggie Hudlin. And at that moment, I thought, I made it. I really done something with my life. If these are the people that I'm associated with, Derek Bell and Barack Obama, then that's the classiest bunch, you know, you could get. And if Sean Hannity thinks I'm the evil, then judge me by my enemies. I'm on the right track. So I felt very, very successful having made this short film. And Trey Ellis, as you pointed out, is a wonderful novelist. He teaches at Columbia University in New York City. And Trey and I were really close friends. And I had him write it. He did a spectacular adaptation because he really took all the themes in the short story, which is very short, and really built out a world and really did a spectacular job. It aired, the other interesting thing was there was a movement by Black employees inside of HBO to not air this thing because they thought these are dangerous ideas. And then white people see this, they're gonna try to do this. And I'm like, these are white people's ideas. I mean, we're just cataloging them. They've done all this and worse. So you're well intended, but this is a terrible idea. So anyway, it debuted and we ended up winning a bunch of awards for it. And it's taught all over the country in different universities. Now there's actually classes in Afrofuturism, which is amazing how far we've come. Right? From, oh my God, Black science fiction, you know, we're the few and the proud, to now it's a, you know, college course a lot of places. And when I first met Quentin Tarantino, the first thing he said to me wasn't hello or I liked House Party or anything. He said, man, Cosmic Slop, why'd you do that as a short film for HBO? Man, that's a feature, man. You blew it. I was like, good to meet you, Mr. Tarantino. And that started a really long and intense friendship that continues. And he ended up asking me to produce Django for him. And the whole time we're making the movie, he's like, but what about Space Traders? What you doing here on my movie? You should be making that movie. So he's continues to be incredibly passionate about Space Traders and a lot of people, hence us all being here tonight. So it's quite lovely.
Wow, what a story. Was Derek Bell one of the theoreticians of critical race theory? Was he associated with that?
Ooh, now you're asking me to co-sign him to a specific term, which I'm scared because I'm like, that's not critical race theory. Here's the thing. I thought he was, and his work continues to be extraordinarily innovative. I mean, for example, the big theme, he started writing these science fiction things to illustrate legal points in a way that were accessible to people. So it was just good teaching, right? So he said, look, this could be dry legal stuff, or I can make it so you get it. And one of his big ideas was the permanence of racism. That racism is not natural, right? But once you introduce it, it's like a virus. It's a virus you can't eradicate. Mm-hmm. In other words, racism is herpes.
Okay.
So, I mean, so he had just really big ideas about how it worked. And he thought about it in really innovative ways, which is, and Space Traders is a spectacular example of it. And Faces at the Bottom of the Well, for the folks, if you want to see and learn more big ideas from this really brilliant man, please pick it up.
Did you say the Cosmic Slop pilot showed in 1990? Did you say 1990?
I didn't say the date. I hedged because I'm like, I don't know when I did that. You do it and you move on. You go,
But here's my question. It seems like it.
No, it was probably. Well, let me look it up. Keep going, sir.
It seems like it has not worn with age.
No.
Particularly in terms of the last 4 years of the Trump administration. There's stuff in there that it strikes me as eerily, chillingly contemporary.
Chillingly contemporary. And in fact, I had a meeting with Jason Blum, who's a famous movie producer. And most folks know him from Get Out, which he produced. So I had a meeting with him about some other stuff. We're talking and we're really getting along. He goes, well, Reggie, what are we going to do together? And I said, well, I've got an idea that might be good. So I told him about Space Traders. And he goes, everyone says they have the next Get Out. Only you have the next Get Out. This is the only thing I've heard that's as good as that original idea. So we're developing that idea. So we're going to revisit it and we're going to expand it and make it bigger and really amazing.
Excellent.
I'm going to interject for a quick second because somebody wants to talk.
Yes.
Jay, where are you there? Oh, well, maybe it's not working.
Yeah, Jay had. Yeah, I saw the hand up. And to speak to Lola's comment, yes, I didn't want to bog people down in details, but the woman that Professor Bear was fighting for to get tenure was Lonnie Guinier.
Ah, okay.
So all the great Black big brains all in one group there.
Well, then I'm going to read the first question in the Q&A, which is from Tarek Sahale, who's also our tech hero tonight. Thank you, Tarek.
Mm-hmm.
This question is for Mr. Hudlin. If you knew then what you know now when it comes to the place in space for African-American science fiction, do you think Space Traders would have taken on a different form compared to the surrealist present that we find ourselves living in as Black people?
No, I mean, it's funny because I haven't watched it in a long time and it's hard for me to watch my own work because all I see is the mistakes and the flaws and the lack of technique. But I'm looking at it. I don't object to any scene in this show. I'm like, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's how it happened. I mean, I want more money. I'd like to tell an even bigger landscape of a story. I mean, that's been the debate. Should it be a movie? Should it be a TV series? You know, that's not clear. But what's in it is correct and is as true today as it has ever been.
And I think you answered Sarah's question, which was if you could change one thing about the final product, what would it be? Which I think you just said. And then the last question we have here in the Q&A is, did I actually hear a reference to Obama in the film's early dialogue? If yes, how recently did you make the change?
No, I did not. No, when it's done, it's done. There's no reference to Obama in the text of the original film. But, it will be in the next one.
So I'll let you guys keep chatting.
I have a million questions I would love to ask Reggie
Come
Hudlin,
on!
who is the most connected brother that I know in Hollywood and the most creative. I could talk to you all night. That would be very easy. But let me just ask a question about Afrofuturism and where you see Space Traders and what you're doing as a storyteller in respect to whatever it is we mean by Afrofuturism.
Sure. I grew up on Afrofuturism before that was a term, right? And my two main sources, my two original sources were comic books and music. And my core love is the music of Parliament Funkadelic, right? I mean, that's, George Clinton. For me, he's my favorite artist of any medium because, when you listen to, those albums, you listen to Mothership Connection and the Clones of Dr. Funkenstein and all that stuff, he's operating on all three levels simultaneously, which is, here's some cool music that you want to dance to, for sure. It will move you. You do not have the option of not moving. It takes the option away from you. Secondly, if you listen to it and go, oh, that's just funny and silly, and it's entertaining to you lyrically, that's fine. But if you listen behind the joke and you hear the big ideas that he's expressing, then you go, oh, wait a minute. And it's there for you at whatever level you're ready to, you can accept it. And they don't get in each other's way. They all function on all three levels without colliding, which is extraordinary. And he did it song after song, album after album, not just with the music, but with the artwork, with the concert tour. He just extended these big ideas in every direction. I mean, that's why when you go to the Smithsonian African American Museum, there is a mothership on the top floor because he built a spaceship and he had, look, we're coming out of the spaceship. He took the Eric von Däniken ideas and, every idea of the pyramids and all that stuff, and he mixed it all up. He wasn't the first person to do it. I mean, someone just mentioned, Sun Ra, he did acid dip, big band music, beautiful, big ideas. And again, an amazing movie I mentioned earlier, Space is the Place, which, if you haven't seen, please go see. But you can go back before that. Charles Schuler. Charles Schuler was a reporter for Black newspapers, but he also wrote Black science fiction novels on the side. His daughter became a famous concert pianist, and he became a famous conservative later in life.
Black No More, that's the title.
Black No More, spectacular book. Black Empire, which was released as a serialized thing in Black newspapers, then collected. Really worth reading if you haven't seen it. Amazing work. Look, I mean, there's literary examples, there's examples in painting, there's all this, and for me, the Black Panther as a comic book, which I loved, and then finally I got to write the Black Panther for many years for Marvel, and I got to, have the conversation. I said, what would the black superheroes talk if they were talking and the white people weren't around? So I had, Luke Cage and Black Panther talk about, well, Storm's fine. And then Luke Cage, oh, she's stuck up, man. And then Black Panther goes, she wouldn't give you any play. Well, that ain't the point. So, and Luke Cage loved Black Panther because when he was in prison, he just thought everybody was a punk except for Black Panther. He was the only black man he would respect. So I just thought, this is fun stuff. And I gave, the biggest deal, I guess, was I gave Black Panther a little sister, Shuri, which he never had before. So
you created Shuri.
Yes.
I didn't realize this. I have the bound issues that you did, and you had before you left BET, you had them turn that into an animated series, which I thought was fabulous.
Thank you.
I've ever seen. Me and a buddy also took a pass at Black Panther when it was in development hell. Wesley was still associated with it, right? Tell me what you think of the Black Panther that came out a couple of years ago. In other words, this long anticipated realization. Both you and I are sci-fi and comic book guys. I mean, we're fanboys. What did you think of this movie? It made, how much did it make? $1 billion?
Well, it's the first superhero movie to make over $1 billion.
The first.
The first. Which, again, proves my point. It proves several points which I have long held. One was the key to true Black global success was to make a Black science fiction film. Because the genre would transcend the racial hangups. You go, yeah, but it's a superhero movie. I just got to go see it, which is what happened. People just went to see it. And the other thing it proved was that once again, the Black product is the most commercial product.
What do you mean?
Meaning, who was the biggest comedian that ever lived? One could argue Eddie Murphy. The biggest TV shows, the biggest music artists. I mean, again and again, we overperform. Now, part of overperforming is low expectations, but it's also, overcoming all the obstacles and all the lack of resources, and we still, overperform. So there's all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, those early Black Panther scripts when I first arrived in Hollywood were horrific. I mean, there was a stack of them. I read every single one. And they were Black Panther movies where he grew up in the projects in America. He didn't know he was an African king. I mean, I was like, oh, this is the 1940s slave version of Black Panther. This ain't the Black pride, Black excellence Black Panther that we want. And I told the head of the studio, who actually was a college classmate of mine, I said, look, whether or not I do this movie, you can't make these scripts because these are evil and you can't do evil. I don't know if that was the best pitch for me getting the job, but at least those bad movies didn't get made. And, for years, Wesley was trying to do it. I was trying to do it. John Singleton was trying to do it. We're all trying to get, and just couldn't happen until the unique set of circumstances came together. And yes, it was very nice to see, a lot of the ideas from my version of Black Panther in the movie. And
your ideas showed up in the movie we all saw.
Yeah. I mean, look, the thing about comic books is that they're patchwork quilts, right? So Stan Lee and Jack Kirby put a patch in, then Roy Thomas puts a patch in, then Christopher Priest does a patch, and Don McGregor does a patch, and I do a patch. So none of it can say, that's mine. I mean, it's folktales. It's modern corporate folktales. But the fact is we all make a contribution to the mosaic.
So can I roll a grenade in the room and see which way you go on it?
Sure.
Do you think we'll ever get Middle Passage done, man, as a movie?
Well, I at this point, I have seen so many things I would have never imagined happen that I can't say, oh, that'll never happen. Because honestly, I mean, look, a couple of years ago, I made a movie about Thurgood Marshall. If you had asked me 3 years before, will there ever be a theatrical feature film about Thurgood Marshall? I go, impossible. There'll be a Black Panther movie one day, but there'll never be a Thurgood Marshall movie. But I made it. So, it's kind of like the Berlin Wall. It seems impossible. And then it vanishes in the air. And then it just is like as if it never existed. So you just go, okay. So, so do I see all the obstacles? Of course. But do I see the possibility of anything happening? Yes.
Are we in a renaissance for Black creativity, Black storytelling across different medias, comic books, graphic novels, motion pictures, television? Do you perceive this as a really great moment in terms of evolution of Black arts?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just a blip, a bubble for the moment?
Well, that's the question. Is it a moment or a movement, right? And when you look at Black cinema, it tends to go in 20-year cycles, right? So you have the Blaxploitation movement, Shaft, Superfly, Foxy Brown, Car Wash, and great ideas long overdue, right? And even though these movies are low budget, those ideas, that iconography is still relevant 50 years later. So then after 10 years, it tapers out. And then for 10 years, the only Black folks who get movies made are Eddie Murphy and Prince. Then you've got the 90s, right? And you've got Spike Lee and myself and John Singleton and, all these movies boom, and they're more personal, they're better made, they cross over more. And we get like a little 10-year run. And then that's over. And then the only folks who can get movies made are Tyler Perry and this white company called Screen Gems, who kind of specialize in Black films. And then boom, here we are now, right? With, Ryan Coogler and Black Panther and Ava DuVernay and, 12 Years a Slave winning Best Picture, all this stuff. So the fact is every 20 years we come back, it's bigger, better, more financially successful. And now Black television is now enormously successful. So it's at a point, the success level is now at a point where you go, is this it? Are we now so successful that we're part of the permanent landscape? I mean, and here's the other factor, the census, the browning of America.
Right.
I mean, we have always had a disproportionate impact on the planet. You look at, reggae music from this tiny little island in Jamaica that conquered the world. You can go to Russia and hear reggae music, right? So you go, okay, but now we've got more tools, more weapons, and our cultural impact is bigger and better than ever. So it could be a possibility that we could have a permanent place. I think the real thing that will make the difference, and I think this is also possible, that we start building, in addition to having a bigger, more quasi-permanent residence within Hollywood, that we start building our own institutions as well. So outside of the traditional Hollywood institutions, that we may be able to, make our own product.
You mean our own studios?
Yeah, some version of that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple more questions, and then I think I want to be able to let you both go since you've been so generous with your time. So I'm going to start with this one. This is from Jay. In Get Out, the African American had a needed, necessary, and refreshing revenge. During the remake of your sci-fi, is it possible for African Americans to be taken by aliens and they actually end up in a better world as Earth continues to crumble from the weight of hate and ongoing hostilities and assaults on the environment?
I am not going to talk about what the future of space traders might be. There's been a lot of thought put into it and a lot of work put into it, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's great. And there was other questions I'm not ignoring you, Sarah, in the Q&A, but I think he just answered some of your questions about how you would modernize space traders. Lola said, do you think the growth in African filmmaking will challenge US film production to overcome the reconstruction cycle?
Well, it's a tricky thing. I mean, the challenge to being independent is the cost of production. You know, that you know, I mean, you can make a platinum record in your bedroom. Like the cost of the technology to record and make a record is very inexpensive. Then you can put it on YouTube or iTunes and reach the entire planet. So more than ever, you can do that very cheaply. But to make a feature film that is competitive on the global market, I mean, you know, those kind of global market, you know, tentpole movies, you know, they're 50 to 100 million at least, right? So the question is, you know, when do we have the resources to do that on a regular basis? So I'm not saying it's impossible, but you know, the scale of production is so big and so costly.
Doreen asked, is there a great crossover / collaboration with Black British artists? How are the Black Brits influenced by Black Americans? Anything exciting on the horizon?
Right. One of the, to me, most heartbreaking things that I see happening currently in Hollywood is the tension between Black Americans and Black Britons. There is this attitude that, oh, all these Black British actors are coming, they're taking acting jobs from Black American actors. And instead of going, we're all of the diaspora, and when any of us wins, we're celebrating, they're like, well, they're not us. And, you know, we don't, they can't be us. And you just go, well, I mean, and it's fueled now by this GOP financed movement called ADOS, right? Which is African Descendants of Slavery, which to me feels like it's out of a story by Derek Bell. Because it's like, wait, so your main point of identification is American slavery, and you're so proud, you'll put it in the title of your organization. Well, that's profoundly unhealthy in the first place. And second of all, you know, when you look from the 50s to the 80s and 90s, you saw, you know, a diasporic movement, right, of Black folk. I mean, us fighting to end apartheid in South Africa, and us reaching out to Black folk all over the world and saying we are one. It doesn't matter what border we happen to be living in right now, where the slave ship dropped us off. The fact is, we are all a people with a shared common cultural heritage, and there's this movement to undermine that. And I see it in politics. I see it in the arts. I see it in a lot of places. It's very small right now, but it's cancerous. And so that's a long way of saying we're in a very hostile environment that I think is going to be unhealthy for those collaborations that should be happening. But hopefully we will overcome that nonsense and get back to the path we should be on.
So this is the last question from the chat, and then Charles, you'll have the final last question. Amina asks, can you comment on Nollywood as a cinema phenomenon?
It is amazing. I got to tell you, I mean, what's interesting about Nollywood is that the movies are technically very crude. Sometimes the storytelling is very crude. But I watched a Spider-Man movie from Nigeria. And what's great, they're like, what? Copyright? I don't know from copyright. Spider-Man. Everybody loves that's universal. We all own Spider-Man now. So they make their Spider-Man movie, and my son showed it to me, and I couldn't stop watching. And here's the thing: we can mock it now, but they are growing by leaps and bounds. And this is exactly the kind of collaborations that we should be seeking. And I know some people in Hollywood are doing that. They're reaching out to these folks in Hollywood. And there's folks who are from the continent of Africa who are now working in Hollywood. And I mean, those bridges are going to be built. And I think that's a very exciting thing for us to be looking at in the future.
I am not going to ask a final question. I'm just going to say, Reggie, thank you for giving us this time. Thank you for letting me see you after so long. It's been a while. And thank you for being an inspiration for everybody who is a person of color or Black involved in the arts, any of the arts. You are, yeah, an icon.
I echo that sentiment. It means a lot to us to have you both here, but for you to make the time, Reggie, it's just really meaningful. And like I said, Space Traders could have been written today, could have been made today. It's so good. I also implore people, it's on YouTube, to watch the other episodes of Cosmic Slop. I think they're wrestling. One of the favorite episode we didn't show tonight, but it's about revolution time. I think that it's very relevant today as well. So yeah, just thank you so much for making this time. Follow Wanawari, follow these two great artists in their work, and have a good Thursday night.
Thank you for having me, Charles. I love you. So great to see you. Now I'm so glad to meet and be connected to your daughter as well. Thank you for inviting me. This has been a lovely, lovely evening. Thank you all for watching and for participating in a wonderful conversation. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.